Right, so today I wanted to talk about my favorite companies in the financial sector. There is a handful of them, so I'm going to get right into it. The first one, EQB, they are a online bank in Canada. As far as I'm aware, they don't have any physical locations. Um, and the one thing I'm going to point out right before I get into this here, although I don't think any of the traditional banks, the RBCs, TD, Scotiabank, I don't think they're all that bad. I just think that they are, for lack of a better word, kind of archaic. Like I said, I think that they won't exactly go out of business. Like I think 50 years from now, TD and RBC and whatnot are probably still in business. I just think that when I'm making these videos, I want to look for companies that are going to outperform said index, this one being the financials index, over the next 10 or 20 years. And I think a company like this is making advancements faster and is going to grow faster than the traditional ones. Same goes for the American ones, the JP Morgans, the um, Citigroup, et cetera, right? Um, so this is the first one. Again, like I say, they're going. They only have a 2.2% dividend, but they're growing that very fast. And I mean, if you look over the long run, again, this is a company 5 years ago, 30. Now it's at 53. But again, it did get as high as $76 this year. 1 year target estimate is 80. Again, when it comes to basically everything in the financial sector, they're going to be cyclical. Again, they're typically, a lot of these companies are very rate sensitive, right? In that this is probably going to help these kind of companies, at least in the near term. But again, I think that a company like this is going to grow faster than the TDs and the RBCs and the Scotiabanks of the world, meaning it's going to perform better over the long run, right? Um, Next one is HDB. Again, this is the largest bank in India. Again, why India? Why this company? Again, um, there's a lot of talk over which is going to be the next superpower. A lot of people say, oh, China's going to overtake the States. I don't think that that's going to happen, at least as soon as what people think it's going to happen. It definitely could happen, but it's definitely not going to happen as soon as people think, simply because America still has some remnants of the free market. China does not. Well, China has some, but nowhere near as much as the States, which isn't as capitalistic as what people think. But nonetheless, that's why I don't think China is going to be quite as good as people think. But again, when it comes to India, they are the country that is having the most amount of people moving from poverty into the middle class. And when that happens, well, again, this is going to be a company that's going to benefit massively, right? They already have a $113 billion market cap. So this isn't a company, I think, and there's no company in the financial sector, at least ones that you're not gambling on. Let's say like a SoFi. Um, are they tech or are they finance? I'm not actually sure off the top of my head, but I assume they're in the financial sector. Um, Companies in the financial sector are typically ones that you're not going to get killed on. Like a company like this is almost certainly going to exist 10 or 20 years from now. I don't see them being smaller than they are now between then. So you're at least going to keep up with the market with a company like this, and with basically every company I bring up. But again, I think that this is also going to be a company that's going to outperform the TDs, the JP Morgans of the world, right? Simply because it is the largest bank in a country that is growing massively. I mean, if you look over the long run, again, this is a company, 20 years from or 20 years ago was at, below, a dollar a share, right? So again, just massive growth. Even 10 years ago, what was it at? It was at about um, $16 a share, right? So this is a company that I think is going to grow close to that, right? I think 10 years from now, this is a company that's going to be well into the hundreds of dollars. 20 years from now, you're probably looking at in it, maybe even into the 200s of dollars, right? And it's going to grow its dividend again, only about just below 1% right now, but it is going to keep growing that. So again, another company I think is going to see very good growth. The next one, WRB, WR Berkeley, again, they are an insurance company, although they're growing very well. Again, 5 years ago, they were at $30. Now they're over 65. Again, $17 billion market cap, so they got a lot of room to grow. Again, strong return on equity, strong profit margins. not overly expensive, only a 13.7 PE, so not crazy expensive. So again, another good company from the insurance sector. Another one from the insurance sector, Fidelity National Financial. Again, 4.4% dividend, so it's got a lot better dividend. Although it's not going to grow as much, at least in my opinion. Although if you do go back, if we go back 10 years, this is a company that's at about $15, $15. We're at just below 40 right now. Again, but this is the company you're buying primarily for the dividend, although I do think that it is going to grow pretty well. Again, only a 5.5 PE too, which is not expensive by any means, right? 1 year target estimate for analysts is 58. So this is a company that, again, you're buying mainly for the dividend, but it is going to grow as well. Um, the last company on my list here, Ozark or Bank of Ozark. Again, this is a regional bank. And again, like I say, you notice I don't have any of the big traditional banks on here. Not that I think they're, not that I'm necessarily bearish on them, but what I am saying is that I think that the regional banks are going to do better in the States. Specifically, one like this. Why Bank of Ozark? Well, there's a couple reasons for it. Number one, it again strong return on equity. Good, pretty good numbers. Its dividend is safe, and they've been growing the dividend literally since the company's been incepted in, what was it, going back 20 years, or almost 20 years. I went back to the '08 mark, and they've been growing the dividend ever since then. So if they've been growing their dividend through COVID, through the '08 crisis, they're almost certainly going to keep growing that dividend. Again, it is only just over 3%, which is nothing crazy. But this is a company you're going to buy for stability, not necessarily massive growth. But like I said, the other reason too is that this is an area where a lot of people are moving, right? If you look at regional banks, you want to be buying regional banks, at least in the States, in places where people want to go. So you're looking at the Ozarks, Texas, Florida, these kind of places, right? California, New York, probably not the best places to be, West Coast in general, probably not the best places for regional banks. This is one that, again, is in a very good area. It's not overly expensive. It's got a very safe dividend, and I do think it has a lot of room to grow that dividend. It's going to keep growing that dividend. And again, over the long run, again, you're not going to get crazy growth out of this company. 1 year target estimate 46. Again, pre-pandemic, it was actually above where it is right now. So again, you're not going to get crazy growth out of this, but this is going to be a safe company. And again, I think that this is going to be a good play on that. And it's something that's already going on. But the move from people moving from these more expensive areas to the more cheaper area, for lack of a better way of putting it, areas. So anyway, those are my favorite companies from the financial sector. Again, if you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe. Check out those links, or sorry, just hit that like and subscribe and stay tuned for more.